I have no idea what's going on there, but it seems like a little bit of a mess. So, but in my mind, because it has her name on it, I just assumed she was always behind it, and now I'm realizing I don't think she's been behind the brand for a very long time. I felt like I got Barbara Streisand affected by that because I was like, it's almost like she was never a part of the brand. So the first video I posted in 2024 was a video discussing Moonshot and their various rebrandings they've had throughout the years and discussing some of the new products and where I feel like they've fallen off from a marketing perspective and also from a consumer's perspective. And also from someone who's just been following the brands in K-beauty for years now, and watching these brands evolve over time has been very interesting, and I find that Moonshot is not the only brand that I feel like is on their deathbed. So here are some of the brands that I wanted to discuss with you guys today. I did some preliminary research on them as far as where they're at and just kind of like scoured my brain a little bit to think about some of the brands that I used to be big fans of and then just like slowly but surely fell off my radar, and I didn't even notice it until actually sitting down and doing some of the research for this video. And I found the discussions in the comment section of that Moonshot video very interesting. So I think this is going to open up some interesting conversations because I feel like a lot of you guys have been on this same path as me, using and consuming Korean beauty for the past several years. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and discuss some of the Korean beauty brands I feel like are on their deathbed. So this first one kind of breaks my heart, but I feel like when it comes to the beauty space, you cannot not innovate. Now, while I could see a brand existing on some hero products and being bestsellers for them, not creating other hero products or just relying on them solely is not going to create a lot of longevity with the brand. Now, one of those brands that I feel like has done that over the years is unfortunately Mamonde. Now, Mamonde used to be one of my favorite brands. I used to always look for them whenever I was in Aritaum, and I do remember they had standalone stores when I used to go to Korea, and I used to love looking at their products, looking at their skincare, and one of their hero products for me was the rose toner. Now, they did have a line of rose products, including like a rose gel, I remember, and some other rose-based products, and they actually still do have those products, and it kind of speaks true to their original branding and the ethos behind their brand, which was of flowers. So it was kind of embracing the vitality of flowers and using like the beautiful properties of flowers within their skincare and beauty products. Now, Mamonde is definitely one of those brands that I literally forgot existed until I recently noticed that they had somewhat of a rebranding recently. It looks like they've updated their packaging and they've introduced some newer products to their skincare line, including the expansion of their Rose line, which they do have a PHA exfoliator, which actually did win some awards. I saw on Glowpic and Huawei and other type of apps like that. And I feel like a lot of us have associated Mamonde with that rose and have been almost exhausted by it, and they have not innovated besides their new some other products that are more sensitive skin friendly. So they look like they're updating their packaging to be a little bit more Gen Z. And I will say I think they're doing a pretty good job. Like, I think if they're able to stick with this, they might be able to revive the brand, because I did see some excitement over these products on their Instagram. I saw some good engagement with the products, but I'm really hoping they are able to hold on, because I do enjoy Mamonde products, at least I had in the past. So I actually have some of their products, their newer products on the way for me to try, and I'll be curious to see if I enjoy these newer products as much as I did with the rose water line. And it's interesting because I look at this from a like Western perspective as someone who lives in the United States but consumes a lot of Korean beauty and tries to keep up with what's actually popular in Korea, because believe it or not, what's popular in Korea among Korean consumers is often very different from what's popular in the US and US-based consumers consuming Korean beauty products. And so part of me thinks that their international strategy did not quite work out for them, as far as they, I think around like 2015, started entering Ulta stores. So you could actually go into Ulta stores and access Mamonde products. I just don't feel like they had enough of that brand recognizability for US consumers to go to Ulta and purchase Mamonde products. They did have that in Korea, just not in the US. So seeing them not available at Ulta, pulling out of a lot of US retailers, they've been gone pretty much for years at this point. I think that they will hopefully have some mainstay among Korean consumers. I don't know how they're going to do in the West, because I feel like their products kind of look like any other thing you'll find here in the West. Hopefully their new rebranding and their new products can do well in Korea, and they can maybe bring some of those products and popularity back stateside, but I'm just like keeping an eye on them. I will be curious to see how they do. Now, I mentioned Mamonde, and another brand that I find really interesting that I used to be a very big fan of, and I was really sad when I saw them discontinuing a lot of their products, is Aritaum. Now, Aritaum is a very interesting brand because they're also a retailer. So not only does Aritaum exist as a retailer carrying brands like Hanyul, Iope, they have Laneige, they've carried Mamonde also. Aritaum used to exist as a beauty brand in itself. So if you guys remember years ago, the Shine Fix eyes, they had the mono eyes, they had their cover line, they had a bunch of other products. Now, Aritaum as a beauty brand has been phased out for a couple of years now. And one thing that I noticed is that they did merge some of their products with Etude because they are under that Amore Pacific line. So I see like they still have the Modi nails, which was also another one of my favorites. And what was a couple of, well, their ginger scrub lip line, they also have now under Etude. So it's kind of interesting because it used to be like Amore Pacific, then they had like Aritaum, then they had all these brands in Aritaum, and then they also had some other brands that existed under the Amore Pacific line. And now they're kind of making an Etude, like one of these companies that has like different brands underneath it besides the Etude brand, because I even noticed they have this new line called V-Wear, I believe is how it's pronounced, and it's basically like the vegan skin line under Etude. It's like a sister company under Etude, but it's not necessarily Etude. So I don't really know what's going on around there. I do know that Etude had that whole controversy back in 2018 when they had antimony high levels of it recalled by the Korean version of FDA, the Ministry of Food Safety or something like that. It's like the Korean version of the FDA. And so antimony is this ingredient that is used for creating sparkles, I think, but high levels of it can cause issues with respiratory issues, also gastrointestinal issues. So they actually recalled a lot of Etude products back in 2018, and it seems like they had a bit of a dip from like 2018 to 2019. I don't know if it was directly because of that. I do know that they had a huge decrease in store closures. They had like a 30% decrease in stores, which is major for Etude. And then the Pandy hit, so then we had also just a decrease in international sales across the board for all brands. So Etude is not necessarily struggling. I do see that they're kind of branching out with some of the brands they have underneath it, but they also have some Aritaum brands, so I don't know if those are going to exist for quite some time, if they're just putting it under the Etude brand and seeing how it does. I have no idea what's going on there, but it seems like a little bit of a mess. But honestly, it's under Amore Pacific, so I think they'll be fine. In fact, Amore Pacific has been advancing a lot in a lot of their technology. I just saw that they announced some type of AI age Dr. Amore like thing. It's just very interesting, the advancement in technology. So when you're under some of these big umbrella brands, you have the protection of it. I don't really see the point for it anymore. In fact, I know Aritaum's, there are still some here, some standalone stores, some brick and mortar stores in the United States. I don't know how those do. This is kind of me just like talking out loud. So if you guys have any information on this, definitely let me know, because I feel like there's a lot of movement in those brands, like consolidation, and they're not really sure of what to do. They're like branching some of their weaker brands with their stronger brands. Okay, so this next brand was a sneaky brand, and I feel like I got Barbra Streisand affected by this brand specifically, and that is PonyEffect. This has like been a weird rabbit hole that I fell down on when I was researching this brand. And also keep in mind, all of this video is speculation on my part. I'm just looking at this from like an outsider's perspective. But one thing that I always thought about PonyEffect was I felt like they were pretty good at releasing new and interesting products, especially because when PonyEffect came out, I loved that she had higher pigmented products. She had a wider shade range for those of us who have a bit of a darker skin tone. And she had products that I just saw a lot more in the West, but now there was like a Korean beauty version of it. And now I don't think she's, well, let's put it this way. I'm pretty sure she's not a part of PonyEffect, and I'm pretty sure she's not been part of PonyEffect for a very long time. Now, PonyEffect is under the Mimi Box brand. So Mimi Box brands include brands like Kaja, Noonie, what else is it? I Do Care. So there are a couple brands under Mimi Box. And if you guys remember, Mimi Box back in the day used to be a subscription-based box. Like literally you would pay a monthly subscription and they would send you a box of Korean beauty brands that they had curated. And now they have, I think they basically exist as a Korean beauty brand that owns these different brands, and PonyEffect being one of them. But when I sat back and thought about it, I haven't actually used PonyEffect makeup in quite some time. The only product that I think I still use is their eyebrow pencil. But I started looking through their Instagram just to see like what they've been up to, some of their new products, and realized she is not on their feed at all. It looks like at some point they cut ties, and again, this is me making an assumption here. I'm assuming it was around the time that Pony started doing collaborations with other brands. So if you guys remember, she had her collaboration with MAC, ColourPop, she had Fresho 2, which was a Taiwanese brand. So she had collaborations with a ton of other brands that she must have done after she dissolved her relationship with PonyEffect. But in my mind, because it has her name on it, I just assumed she was always behind it, and now I'm realizing I don't think she's been behind the brand for a very long time. I think Pony was obviously a lot of the draw about PonyEffect. I also, by the way, checked her feed a little bit. I didn't look too much into it, but she doesn't talk about PonyEffect at all. It looks like she has a lot of other brand collaborations. So I'm not really sure what happened there. If you guys have some more information on that, maybe I missed, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. But I just, like I said, I felt like I got Barbara Streisand affected by that, because I was like, it's almost like she was never a part of the brand. So the last brand that I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm speaking on because I feel like it's very similar to Mamonde, and that is the Face Shop. Now, the Face Shop for me has not come out with anything very exciting in years. In fact, I feel like they do rely a lot on that Rice Water Bright line, which I've seen they're repackaging and rebranding to a more updated look. And I feel like back when the Face Shop was at its peak, it was because the Face Shop was among one of the few brands that was considered like natural or clean, along with Innisfree or Nature Republic. And I feel like nowadays that's kind of baseline for most brands. In fact, if you're looking for like a vegan or clean or natural brand, I feel like most people gravitate towards the indie Korean brands because it matches a little bit more with the ethos of a smaller brand versus like these. I mean, the Face Shop is owned by LG, so again, and this is kind of basing it on my perspective as someone who's based in the States consuming Korean beauty. I do feel like their presence here is just not that impressionable. The Rice Water Bright line, again, is the only line that I see ever talked about in the States, and even that, I feel like that was popular years ago. I do see that they seem to have a good amount of presence in Korea, and they do have newer products. They have their own, similar to Etude with the V-Wear, they have their own vegan line now, which I think is called the Therapy, and they do have their Dr. Belmer, which is their like more clinical line, but not really. So I feel like, again, the Face Shop might not be on their deathbed just because they have that cushion of being under LG, but I don't see them being as popular as they used to be, and I could see the Face Shop kind of merging into that like E-Nature. They have, what is it called? I'm going to put it on screen here, but I do remember that the Face Shop is also part of like an Aritaum type of store. I could see some shuffling or some reorg within that under LG. So yeah, the Face Shop I just don't find very exciting. I think they're kind of a played brand. They've been around for a very long time, and I don't think they've done a very good job at innovating. You know, different from like Amore Pacific, which I feel like they've always done a pretty good job of innovating their actual skincare and beauty technology. I'm not sure LG does that as much. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little discussion. I really enjoyed the moonshot video that I did a couple weeks ago, and I feel like there was some good discussion there. So I hope we open some good discussion up here in the comment section down below. I am fully aware that there's probably things that I'm missing or nuances because I am not Korean based. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on some of these brands or other brands you guys have noticed just kind of flying under the radar or not really making any waves, not innovating, because we are getting to that point now where we are going to see the death of a lot of Korean beauty brands that we were most likely big fans of. At least I know I was. So anyways, guys, as always, I hope you guys are happy and healthy, and don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys!